for bringing life in and taking us home when it's time to go.
Yes, yes. Everything is cycling, and death brings life and rebirth and change and movement, and it's a continuous thing. Just like the whole theme of a tree, the way it sheds its seeds, and how those seeds are like little caskets almost, and they have the potential and the miracle of life within them. And once they're placed into the ground, then they are nurtured and begin to grow and begin to reach for the sun, and they begin to change and develop into uh, bigger and larger and stronger trees. And then at some point in maturity, they spread seed as well and bring forth kind after kind. And it's a beautiful thing that the Most High has created in regard to the creation, and how it perpetuates itself in the beauty, as we see the representation of the duality, male and female, created them, that we see the creation from the micro to the macro, really exhibiting the supernatural aspect of intelligence that, without a doubt in my mind, is a signature for the Creator, and that He has manifest the Holy Trinity together, manifest all things in the supernatural manner that we are able to perceive it. And so, what a blessing to be here and to be part of the existence, and to share in all the miracles of every day, because every day, every moment really is just a beautiful blessing to be part of and witness to.
Absolutely. And to update you on us, I couldn't come live a couple of months ago. And sorry if the fan is noisy in the background, but
I don't hear it at all.
Oh, good. It's 100 degrees here today. So, but we have, my daughters are 9 and 10 now, greatly into sports, softball and swimming. And we're now done, but we just finished last weekend with our final swim meet in Helena, Montana. And the neat thing is how much that gets us outdoors. And then I started, I've been doing landscaping for my landlord for the last 3 years, but kind of, ho-hum about it. It's like, well, it saves me on some rent. And then he bought a truck to let me use, and I wanted the truck. So all the landscaping I was doing was to pay off this truck. And the truck was falling apart left and right. It needed something done about every 2 months, it seemed like. And I tried to fix what I could myself, but it was just a money pit. And I finally said, I don't want to do landscaping anymore and pay off this truck. You can have the truck back. I'm going to get my own. And so then he said, okay. And I haven't been doing it. So I started buying my own stuff, like my own weed eater, my own blower, and my own garbage can, and ways to go out and start doing stuff, because I was still doing some landscaping for people. And when I say landscaping people, I'm not out there paving new decorations. I'm not doing like, I can't think of the word. I'm not going out and like bringing gravel in and making a new landscape for somebody. I'm mowing and weed eating and blowing and cleaning out rock beds.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started buying my own stuff, because I got into a crypto thing that was very lucrative that ended up losing a lot of money on. But at the time that it was lucrative, I was able to buy these things. And I thought, well, why don't I just go out on my own and start doing this kind of stuff? So that's what I've been doing lately, is going out, making flyers, talking to people, and me and my husband are doing the jobs. And it's going to be even more, probably a little bit more stable than the cryptocurrency I got into, where I don't think I've told you, because it's been 4 months, but I put in, I don't know, $4,000 or something into this thing. I was up to $80,000.
Wow.
And kaput to zero.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always have to, when you're up, take profits. That's because I think everybody's learned. These are been a hard few months for a lot of people that were into crypto, even myself with Luna, the whole debacle that happened with Luna. But I had invested in Luna way back when it was like, just a couple dollars. And so I rode it all the way up to $99 a coin, which, it increased quite a huge amount. And I was also earning like every 4 days, it would replicate itself. And it also gave you two other cryptocurrencies for holding them, but you had to hold the coin for like 28 days. And so you couldn't just sell them, they were locked up. And so when everything started to tank, there was no way to extract your money from it. And so I was, I learned from that one, but a lot of people did. And these are things that, we are still learning in the process of the markets being established and going up and down. This is the third cycle of bearish sentiment that I've been witness to and part of, but I still think that, dollar cost averaging is the smart way to go. And that Bitcoin is definitely the crypto to buy, to hold, and to be active in.
Certainly right now too, because it's so low. This is
Right.
a time if you could buy just a little bit, and I'll compare it to, if anyone's ever listened to Mike Maloney, but he's a money expert and he talks about gold and silver, and he's always said buy some even if the price goes up, because at least you're still getting gold and silver because it is actual money. And there is talk of putting Bitcoin on the commodities. So if they put it as a commodity, they're saying that's something that we actually need, and that could again skyrocket its value, but it is going to be considered a monetary value, where is the dollar is clearly crashing. Now we know that crypto doesn't look good now, but what happens on the other side of a bubble? It's going to go back up. It's not going away. It's not like crypto's crashing and going to be gone. And so what I got into was high risk arbitrage trading. And so what it was doing, it was doing these quick trades from one place, from one exchange to another, where you buy, sell really fast. And the profits were great. It was doing multiple profits in a day. And it's like what you said, I couldn't, there was locked in a wallet, but only for 2 hours at a time. But when they decided to stop letting us withdraw, it was locked in forever after that.
Yeah, that was the problem. Yeah. And, I don't know if you saw the newsletters and the things that I was sending out, but I basically told everybody to get out of all of their positions and to go into stable coins when Bitcoin was at 45,000. And that's what I did. And so I didn't get hurt on a lot of what I hold. Luna did affect me negatively in that sentiment, but I was able to get out and to ride it down, and I started buying in as it was moving through the 20,000s and have been, even still. And so definitely, without a doubt, Bitcoin at some point will begin to turn and we'll enter into a bull cycle again, but definitely dollar cost averaging and take advantage of it being this low, because we may never reach these levels again.
The blessing I had is I did pull more out than I put in. So I put in, 4,000 and I pulled out 5,600, which isn't a huge gain, but I didn't.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't.
Good gain.
Didn't lose, but there was $80,000 sitting in there that I had plans for.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Right.
I had lots of plans for that. But, God laughs at our plans, and it's okay, because I would not, and sadly a lot of people come to me and said, that's why I don't buy crypto, because I lost this or I lost that. And I've had to say, I have to admit, this was a very high risk. I was allowing them to hold my coins in a wallet that I didn't own. Right. We weren't. I wasn't trading and having it go straight to my wallet. And there are ways to do that, but a little bit more complicated and you have to do more of the
Mm-hmm.
work. This one was easy. You just put your money in, you did the trade,
Right.
you clicked a button for the trades every 2 hours, and then they came up with an actual program so that you didn't have to click the button for the trades. So
Yeah, it just did it for you. Yeah.
it just ran day and night, and I was pulling in crazy amounts. And I knew I have told people, I said, we don't know how long it's going to last. I said this, I
Yes.
had
Get it
no,
while you can.
this could go any minute. So
Right.
um, Yah and Yeshua and the Ruach asked, wait, who kept the money? Well, the company who took our money and did some of the trading for us, they just took it, and who knows where they went. You're never going to find them. They're probably out of some country that has no legislation on this sort of thing. And so
Right. Right.
I consider it a loss that I can handle. I mean,
And
at
a
first,
lesson. Yeah.
yes, a lesson learned. I had a week of high stress. It was like, what am I going to do? I had so many plans. And yet, what's silly, and I want to remind everybody, is more than anybody else, is that I have lived on very little money for several years, and we've been very happy. I've had no stress learning how to live on small amounts of, and I say money, currency, on small amounts of currency. I've built up stores of gold and silver. I sold a little bit when this happened just because I had some trips planned. It was kind of unexpected, but I still have more gold and silver than I ever owned before when I just had debt. And you guys, I'm down to $20,000 in debt. It was about $170,000. I'm down to 20.
Wow. Good for you.
I've got gold and silver. I have lived on less than what I'm living on now, and I just
Uh-huh.
got a little too greedy and too excited about it. And I was thinking, this is now life. We're gonna really be living it up, and that's not what was meant, of course, for us. And what did I do? What did the Lord do in my life? I prayed and I said, I need something else, and now I'm doing this. And that's why I brought up the landscaping business, because I did one job and made over $600. So
Nice.
I've become very resourceful. Praise God, all glory to the Most High. But He provides. He truly provides.
Absolutely. And the the theme of what we want to talk about this evening is thinking out of the box and also being entrepreneurially minded, so that you think about how to diversify and also how to create businesses or focuses which will bring in passive income for you. And you then, just building up a bunch of those different kind of sources, then you develop business ideas and plans in whatever way it may be, whatever you're passionate about or whatever you're led to and have the opportunity to do. Because in today's society, with things being so uncertain, um, I mean, look at all the small businesses that were shut down, and that entire dreams and generations of businesses that had been built up over long decades, they disappeared in weeks and months. And so many people are struggling even now and having to do things where they might be working for others and not having, you know, uh, maybe not even happy in what they do, and maybe because of that, they are struggling and stressing out emotionally, physically, whateverly. But I think that in the meantime, people should utilize every opportunity, because this is what it is. Whether the markets go up, markets go down, whether economies crash. And this was the same thing, even for, like during the Depression, when the stock markets crashed and everybody, lost their abundance at that time. And then a lot of people had to resort to um, figuring it out again. And I think that's kind of where we are, that people are being forced to reconsider uh, what they want to do with their lives, how they want to move forward with whatever it is that they are doing with them and their families, what's important, prioritizing those kind of things. And without a doubt, family is the most important. And I think not a lot of people um, you know, there were a lot that lived for self-indulgence. You know, there were a lot of people that uh, are all about partying and entertainment and having fun. And, you know, yeah, keep a healthy balance. But, you know, family and your loved ones, those are bonds that don't just dissipate when tough times come. And so, you know, those are the kind of people that you want to nurture relationships with, and also to realize that in in you know, determining that families are the most important and that they will be the ones that stand with you through thick and thin, that we have to also get over our, you know, because a lot of people allow situations to come into their lives where they um, hold on to grudges and they have separation, or they don't have good dynamics in their relating, and that's very unfortunate because, you know, we're not promised any more tomorrows. Something can happen the very next day. You know, somebody could die, pass away, or be diagnosed with some kind of sickness or illness, and really, then how, you know, how petty those kind of things are, that people allow themselves to be to separated um, and to not have relating with one another just because of things like that. And so I think, you know, the world is at a point, and has been for several years now, since all the COVID stuff and all of what's going on in the world, that these are things people are all having to reconsider. And I think, you know, your situation with the creation of this new job, and also with what you've been doing and diversifying, investing in gold and silver and crypto and other things, even, you know, stocks and bonds. You can use Robinhood. It's an app that allows you to buy stocks without ever having to pay a fee. These kind of things. There's so many ways that one can diversify and use your money for your own benefit. You know, not allow the banks to just make you pay fees for holding your money. It's crazy. We should be utilizing the money that we have. And then the, you know, the um, when you save your savings, whatever it is that you are able to save, and I think savings is a wise thing to do, even if it's not a lot, even if it's only $10 a month. Over time, it adds up if you just stay at it and stay with it, and that over, you know, 5 years, 6 years down the road, you could really develop a nest egg, and then utilize that money that's been built up for other potentials and other gains. And so those are things to consider as well. But um, yeah, so let me give you a chance, Erin, you wanted to talk about, you know, what you were doing and how others can also do the same.
Yeah, I wanted to tell people, we often see in the chat or later that, you know, I don't understand crypto or this or that. It is an interesting experience that I've come to have, but there's some crypto I don't understand still, or not crypto, but wallets especially. I got a MetaMask wallet and I lost $200 because I don't know how to send out my money from it. And unfortunately, these are things that, like you said, Zen, we learn by our mistakes a lot, sometimes a little bit faster, we hope. It's great when we're doing well, but we do make mistakes. And happy to say I've made some mistakes for you guys. My email I've always offered is ladyliberty@countermail.com, and I'll put it in the chat. But I want you guys to know that me and Zen both have offered to help anyone. You don't have to understand crypto to get involved. The nice thing is instead of just putting dollars into your savings account, even if it's $10 a month, you could put it into something that even grows slowly. There's some of these that do trading. Now, the one I was into was very high risk and trading fast and making a lot of money quickly, and then it was gone. But there are ones that trade slow. There are ones that trade and then put the money into your own private wallet. And you can learn to do it, but you've got to sit down and do that. And the reason I recommend it is because our money, our currency does not produce in a savings account.
Right.
We need our money to make money for us. So I'm not about to go out and buy real estate and rent it out. I'm not about to, be able to purchase certain things that I can, like a big business, and hire a bunch of employees. And even then, and I think what is it, in 5 years, 50% of those businesses go under, and in 10 years, 90% of them go under. So if you go out and get a brick and mortar business and you're paying the overhead and you're paying the fees. So this is where we've tried to come up with ideas and tried and successfully and prayerfully pray, how can we do this and give God glory? And that was what was exciting about this new venture, is I can talk about the Lord in one way or another. I'm not going to knock on people's door and say, have you found Jesus? I can fix your lawn. But what I can do is I can be a light. And as we're out there working, people have come up and started talking to us. Oh man, you guys are doing good work. Can you do this, or do you do that, or do you mow? Do you because a lot of the good money right now is cleaning out rock beds. And what I do is I'll take out a rock bed completely. I'll take all their rocks out, take all the old weed cloth, and people will let those rock beds go for 15 years or more, and they've got weeds growing through them like crazy. I've got video on my own channel, and I'm Abby someone in the chat, so you can find me by that, and you can see we completely overhaul these rock beds, and they look amazing. And it's good because it's long hours, and you can charge by the hour. And that's something you don't need anything but your hands and maybe a shovel, and you got to buy the weed cloth, but this is not expensive stuff. With mowing, you might need to, you got to have the mower, the weed eater, and the blower. That can get expensive. The upkeep can get expensive. What if your mower breaks down? So there are things you can get out and start doing. Now, maybe you can't physically do them, so we talk about the crypto stuff. And there are certain cryptos that are slower to grow, and they're not as high risk that do the trading thing like I was talking about. Or you can just buy cryptos like Zen did at a low price and hope they go up. Sometimes they will and sometimes they won't. I bought a crypto at 20 cents a coin, and it's now at 16. So, there's risks at that, but it was scary. If people don't know my history, I was in the medical field, indoctrinated. I call the indoctrination camp I went to for many years, which is school. Went to regular primary school, then secondary school, then went to get my bachelor's degree in psychology, and then I went and got a master's degree as a physician assistant. And if you don't know what a physician assistant is, that's someone who basically can do most things that a doctor can do. I can see patients, I can diagnose them, I can prescribe them medications, I can order labs or x-rays or things like that. And what I've learned coming out of that, when I quit, I didn't quit the medical field because I didn't believe in medicine. I quit because my husband passed away and my life was turned upside down and I didn't know what to do, and I moved back to Montana. I was licensed in Arizona and I was looking at getting licensed in Montana, but now 8 years later, I'll never, ever go back to Rockefeller allopathic medicine that I was indoctrinated and groomed to believe in, and even humiliated into believing that I had to have the right answer. When we were in training, you were humiliated if you got the wrong answer. And I made good money. And Zen, what somebody said to me the other day, it blew my mind. It was a girl that I have known for a few years now, done Bible studies with, and you would think that she just doesn't know me, because she said, I was telling her about the new landscaping gig that I was trying out, and she said, why don't you just go back to being a PA and making lots of money? I'm like, because I think we're killing people.
Right.
And imagine, especially now in the time of the fake virus,
Right.
that and the snake bite and all these things, I'm talking from personal experience. I'm not saying that other doctors or PAs are doing this. I'm saying when I worked in that field, we were doing nothing but building a business and trying to make lots of money, ordering labs, ordering diagnostics, x-rays, CTs, MRIs, anything we could to bring that person back into the office and have to cover whatever it is we ordered on them. And you look for something, you're going to find it. With people who don't want it to be found, or it doesn't actually mean anything. So that was the big step, leaving what seemed like a secure position of making 50, 55, $60 an hour or more, but I have nothing to show for it. I didn't put that into anything. I didn't invest it. I didn't buy gold and silver. I didn't buy any real estate. I just rented really nice homes and that had and I looked really good. Like, I looked like I made good money, but I had nothing to show for it once I quit. And I went back to going, okay, what am I going to do? Be a waitress? All right, I'll be a waitress. What am I going to do? Sell motorcycles? Somehow I figured out how to go sell motorcycles just because I knew a little bit about them. And then I learned a lot about them, but it was not fun. So I took a really, really, really big leap of faith. And I said, I need to find out how to work from home. And that's part of the self-sufficiency that I didn't realize that, I was praying for self-sufficiency later. How do I get to a point where, as you have said, Zen, we don't even need our dollars anymore, because we're able to we can get our own food, we can grow our own food, get our own electricity, clean our own water, have our own animals, hunt, whatever we need, build, cut down trees, whatever we need to do. Now, unfortunately, there's almost not a place in the world where they'll let us do that stuff. So we're still in the system, whether we want to be or not. But we do have more freedoms even than people did in Jesus' time. So how can we become most self-sufficient when we can work for ourselves? And that was a huge leap for me to take. Now it's been 7 years, I think. And that's kind of my story. I'll let you respond, but that's kind of how I got into being able to say, what can I do to make sure that I'm in as much control as I can be of my income, my hours, and my time with my family?
Yeah, I can kind of tell the story of our family and our ministry as well. That because I've never been one that focused on making money or trying to make a lot or earn a lot or to be a millionaire or anything like that. I've always done what I love to do, which was to read and study scripture. But in 2016, I had a dream, and the Most High told me to start Sacred Word Publishing. And then also in the dream, I saw the logo that would become our company design, and that was to take the two words sacred and word and combining that is a sword. And the word of the Lord, Yahushua, he is he is the word, and he is also the scriptures are the sword. And so I saw this design that the sword, if you look at it from the, like it pointing downwards, the handle in the top half was the cross. And so the sword was like a cross shaped, and the sword divided the word, and there were biblical Bible pages open on both sides. And so this was the dream that I had. And I had already a familiarity in creating and doing books, because I'd been published since I was 22 years old. I published my first book, Look Somewhere Different, when I was 22 years of age, and this was in 2016 that I had this dream. So we were, as a family, I wanted Just Joy to focus on and to have something that was theirs, and to be able to do something where they could work from the house, from home, and to also to be in service to the kingdom. I wanted them to have a larger purpose and a focus that was greater than just working for somebody else, and for as much as you could, as far as dollar per hour. And so Justin and I then went and we got a business license for Sacred Word Publishing, and this was in November 1st, 2016. And then since that time, we've just because I put together all the texts that I want to study anyways, and I would rather read them in book form than read them on a computer. That this was something that I just began to do, and my children also began to do the same thing. But we wanted to get involved in something that was not brick and mortars, and something that you didn't have to go and sit in a building and work from some place and have to drive there every day, and then also to have to pay rent and utilities and all of that. I mean, this was, we were in an age where you could create an internet website that would basically represent your company and what you were doing, and make those efforts accessible to the entire world. And so um, that's what we did. My daughter-in-law, she was a marketing person. She was involved in working for Cox Media and did all the marketing. And Justin and myself, we have been authors and students of the word. He also is published author. And so this was just something that was part of our just in our inherent love of studying the word and wanting to share and bring that forth to others. And so all the books that I wanted to read anyways, I began to start compiling them and putting all these manuscripts of all these ancient sources that not a lot of people had heard about, all these ancient books that most people had never even had chance to read, and then publishing those books for, because a lot of them you can't find anywhere else. And so those were the kind of texts that we were looking for, not only so that we could study ourselves, but to make available for other people to also be able to study. And then my son, he had a dream to start the Digital Readers Club, which is our Saturday. And even though we know the Sabbath is determined by the lunar phases of the moon, we do consider this our Sabbath gathering. And, every Saturday we come together, and we've been reading extra biblical manuscripts as an ecclesia and then praying for one another afterwards for, I can't even tell you how long it's been now, but it's been several years, and we've read numerous manuscripts, and we've become, really tight-knit, close family of believers and sharing that time and space. And so these are the kind of things that other people can do as well. Something that interests you, that you already have a love for, and then if you can mix it with your service to the Most High, I mean, there's nothing better and nothing greater. My children and I are so blessed to be able to do the work of the ministry in everything that we weekly do, on behalf of Sacred Word Publishing, and, to have them involved as well. I mean, they basically run everything. I don't do anything but write books and do radio shows, but they do everything else. And so for them to have all that for themselves, and then also to be able to, be with their children, and to even give birth at home the way that Joy has. She's a superhero in my book when it comes to, bringing up children and raising family. My son he's the most awesome dad. He loves his kids so much, and it's such a beautiful thing to be able to watch them, and also to be able to share time and space, because we're able to get together every week, and I'm one of the authors for Sacred Word Publishing. So, we're able to come together and share meals, and have time and space, and this is all a write-off for the business, and so people can learn to do the same. And the way that the world is, the benefits of being a business owner, um, it, you definitely want to, if you can, try to incorporate yourself as an LLC. So not only do you take the burden of, if you do something wrong and you get sued, you're not going to lose your house and everything, as part of whatever that lawsuit may be, but also that you can protect yourself and that you can write off all of your expenses that you would, have even for your normal life, and just in buying computers and things of that nature, that businesses have benefits for doing those kind of things, and they can write them off of their expenses and things like that. And so it's smarter to think, um, and to take advantage of the benefits that the government has put into place for entrepreneurs and business owners and people that are incorporated under an LLC, and to not only utilize those benefits, but educate yourself, make yourself wise on what is possible with regard to the things that you can do in running a company, and then have that benefit you as well. And then in learning those things, um, it's you definitely find it's much better to work for yourself than to work for somebody else. And that all you have to do is have a niche, and no matter what it may be, wherever your passion lies, there's a way of turning your focus and what you want to do anyways, and to incorporate it and to make yourself a business so you can write off your expenses, and like I said, have that uh, assist you and affect your life positively than just in paying um, life expenses anyways um, that you can't claim or use in any manner that would be beneficial. And so the government definitely has put into law, and with the economy, benefits for business owners. And so people should learn about that, realize that, and take advantage of that. Um, and, again, it's much better to work for yourself than for somebody else. And the sooner you start, the quicker you will gain success. And in gaining success, you'll be able to, um, I believe you'll be able to, develop and grow your dreams. Have a vision for where you want to be in the future. Learn about what other people do to succeed in the world, and how you, as a person, can use your focus, your time, your effort for your own benefit, and also to, um, like I said, to develop something, an idea, to create and to manifest and to bring it into something that is bigger and larger for your life and that of your families. And I believe everybody can achieve that. It's just that most people don't try, and they um, sabotage themselves. They would rather spend time working for somebody else than to learn how to do it for themselves. And it's unfortunate, but most people are followers. They're not leaders. They're not entrepreneurially minded. And because of that, most people are stuck in jobs that they don't like, and that they are working for people they might even hate. Um, and that's unfortunate. There are good bosses and good companies and good people out there, but if you can work for yourself, why not?
Absolutely. I would tell people too, I have an accountant that used to audit the IRS, and he's a great accountant. You don't need to go see an accountant personally. He can do everything from where he is. He lives in Wyoming, and I'm in Montana, and he is been such a blessing to me. He has helped me so much. So if you were to start your own business, let's say you didn't even do an LLC yet, you could just sign up for, and whether you like it or not, you could sign up for some home-based business like Melaleuca or something. You could say, well, Melaleuca, blah, 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 right? But let's say you did just sign up for any home-based business, and that's one of the big ones. There's another big one that I can't even think of, but even Mary Kay or something, these huge home-based business. If you sign up for something like
Avon,
that, Avon, yeah. If you sign up for something like that, you're immediately able to write off some of your rent, some of your utilities, you're able to write off your gas. And because it's a home-based business, you're able to write it off right from leaving home. So a lot of businesses, you can't write off your gas until you get to the business and you're doing stuff from there. This you can write off right from the get-go. You get up and you go to have coffee with somebody, you mention your business. Hey, did you know I'm doing Melaleuca? Yeah, I knew about it. Are you interested? No? Okay, cool. Now you can write off the gas and the coffee for that. So it doesn't matter which one you get into. I'm involved with, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5. I've gotten into so many different home-based businesses that I'm not earning a lot of money income from, but
it all adds up.
It adds up, and I can write off so much of it. Yes. And if it's one I'm buying merchandise from, for instance, a gold and silver, I'm involved with the gold and silver one. I can write off some. I don't want to write off too much because I don't want the government to know how much I'm buying. But for instance, collectibles, I can write off all the collectibles, and they don't really look at it like they do gold and silver, because you might as well consider it like a baseball card or a whatever collectible, anything collectible that you can think of as comic books. It's a write-off that's different in a way from the actual value of the gold and silver itself. And so I can put that in my write-offs, and then whatever income comes in, that's great. I can put that in, and I haven't had to, if you owe taxes for being your business owner, if you have a good accountant like I have, email me. I'll give you his name and his information, and you'll never ever be paying into taxes like you ever would with your 1099s or any kind of brick and mortar business. But you mentioned that a lot of people won't do it because they don't want to take the time. They're used to working that 9 to 5. I want you to explain something that I know a lot of people here know. I haven't seen it in this chat, but do you want to know one of the biggest excuses I get from people, Zen, is I'm disabled. And
oh my gosh, that is a pitiful excuse.
I get that just from these home-based businesses and stuff.
I'm a quadriplegic. That is not an excuse.
And I know that everybody knows a lot about that, but isn't that it's just always some excuse. I'm disabled, or I don't know anybody I could tell. Like, for instance, let's say somebody signed up for my gold and silver business where you can earn money by telling other people. Well, I don't know anyone. Well, then tell people you don't know. Well, I don't know. I'm not good at talking to people. It's either I'm disabled. It's either I don't know anybody. It's either I'm not good at talking to anybody. But what do you do when you go out and you have a good steak? You're like, oh my gosh, I just went to this restaurant and had the best steak. Well, that place isn't paying you. They're not paying you for telling anyone to go there and have a steak. What about the shirts that say Nike or whoever is your favorite shirt? Maybe it's not Nike. I know a lot of people here wouldn't wear that, but just any shirt that has anybody's name on it. You're paying them to advertise for them.
Right.
They're paying you.
Exactly.
So you can get into that position where people are paying you for something that you can give them, whether they need it or not, whether it's a t-shirt or shoes or CDs, mowing their lawn, whatever. So that's why disabled doesn't count, because you're, like you said, a quadriplegic. What disability is this person telling me that they have that they can't get out and do something or stay in and do something from home? So, and Marva says, I'm learning and hoping to start a business, but I suck at marketing. And it's a learning curve.
You learn as you go.
And like I like to say, earn as you learn, right?
Yes, exactly.
You might not earn a lot in the beginning, but one of the things we started when I've done rock beds for my landlord. So like I said, rock beds is one of the things I'm doing because it's a big job. And if I charge by the hour, I'm going to make more than if I just try to throw out a number, because I don't know yet. I don't know until I get a job.
Right.
I'm new at it. So the first rock bed I did took me 10.5 hours. The second rock bed I did took me 8.5 hours. And these are about the same equivalent size, 8.5 hours. The third one, 7 hours. So now I'm going to be able to start bidding by the job instead of the hour, because my hours are going less, but I'm learning. In the beginning, I'm saying, oh, $30, $35 an hour. Now I'm going to start saying, well, that job looks like it's going to be about $1,000.
Exactly.
Right?
Not by the hour. Yeah, just by the job. Exactly.
The other cool thing is, who can't clean a house, right? So think about that. Now, I'm not talking about people who are disabled. Let's say that's a good excuse on this one.
Right, yeah.
But if you're not,
you do what you can.
Right. These are jobs. Yeah, these are jobs that I'm throwing out there that somebody could do that doesn't take a lot. You buy some Windex. I started cleaning my friend's house, and she pays me just a little bit. And that's the thing is, if somebody says, "Can you do this?" Say yes. So if she says, "I'll pay you $40 to clean my house," you can say, "Well, gee, Erin, that doesn't sound like a lot. How big's your house?" Blah blah blah. Doesn't matter. She's paying me $40. She supplied the cleaning supplies in the beginning. She said, "I've got all the stuff. I've got the Windex. I've got the vacuum. I've got everything you need. Just come, if you don't mind, clean the house every 2 weeks." And she pays me $40 to this day. And I'm not gonna stop doing it. But I actually started bringing my own stuff, because I'm getting to a point where I'm like, I don't like her stuff, and I'm starting to learn what I like. I'm starting to learn what works for me, how to clean the oven better. You can watch videos on YouTube on this stuff. In fact, I've been watching videos on landscaping things, and I'm like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah, that's the way you learn, for sure.
I'm like, oh, detailing cars. I mean, it's insane. People who detail cars, the deep details, like they're pulling out the seats and doing stuff like that. And I'm thinking, I don't really want to, but I could do that. And that's hard work.
Right.
A ton of money to pull those seats out and clean. The dealership doesn't come close to. You know what those videos also make me do? They make me get up and go, wow, I need to clean my car out.
Right.
Clean up my rock bed. I need to go do this and that, and not let it get to the point where people are so overwhelmed they don't even know where to start. There's videos on people who go and clean hoarders' houses. I mean, it just makes me go, wow, just cleaning a normal house is nothing compared to going and clearing out some of these hoarders' houses. And I'm grateful for my landlord, because I've helped him clean out houses that are disgusting. There's mold on the walls. They leave everything. There's cat poop on the floor. I mean, he's had houses like that where they let the cats poop up and down the stairs and didn't do anything about it. And we went in there and we cleaned it. And I was making pennies on the dollar doing it for him. And that's another thing I'll mention. You might do some things for free in the beginning. It's probably a good idea to say, I'll come and do this for free, and if you like what I've done, then we'll talk about how much it's going to cost. And that's a good start, because you could do, like, for instance, the rock bed I would talk about, I clean up. I could say, I'll do a portion of your rock bed, and if you like how it looks, I'll do the rest of it for this much. If you don't want the rest of it done, no big deal. It was free. So that's another way to do things. Start for free. And it seems like you're going to put a lot of time and effort into something that you're doing for free, and that kind of hurts, but at least you're not putting a lot of money into it. You're not spending money to just get down on your hands and knees and pull rocks from a bed or clean a house. But anyway, I know we're getting close on the hour. Did you want to say anything before we break?
Yeah, I did really quickly. Quit making excuses, people. Quit sabotaging yourself. Quit, saying, "Oh, I'm in pain," or "I'm have a disability," or "I don't know what to do," or "I don't have the time," or "I don't, know which direction to go." YouTube brings forth everything. There are so many people on there that are making passive incomes in different way, and they teach you how to do it. And so, you spend more time sabotaging yourself and declaring how difficult it is than if you would just spend that time, instead of complaining, and learning and doing and focusing and applying yourself to learning more about whatever it may be, whatever it is. You will learn over time, And as long as you are persistent and you continue to educate yourself and invest in yourself, you will find a way. Trust that the Most High will make a way for you. Especially, yeah, as in my case, as I said with myself and my children, we wanted to serve the kingdom. My whole focus was to be in service to the Most High. And we do that. We are a family of scribes. We read and study the extra biblical texts. And what greater thing to be able to do with your time than to study the Most High's word? I mean, I am so just overly blessed, and to have my children involved in the same manner. They are working and reading and studying and fulfilling orders and sending ancient manuscripts to people all over the world. And, that's what we do. And so find your way. Quit making excuses. Quit sabotaging yourself. Trust, believe, be positive. Because when you think positively, you visualize positively, you're going to manifest positively as well. And the Most High will bless you for having such a mindset. And so think blessing, bless the world, bless yourself, and never curse. Because a lot of people damn this or damn that or whatever, and that certainly is not the way to go either. Because in doing that, you're going to have karma come back and bite you on the butt. But if you're blessing everybody and blessing yourself, that's the way that the positivity, the magnetism, the way that the Most High has established. You reap what you sow. In blessing others, you will also be blessed, and that's the way that God has established. But we'll be right back for second hour interview. Everyone, hope you are enjoying the show. And there's a lot of great chat happening in the chat room. Really good ideas, people that are supporting each other positively. So check that out. We'll be right back, everyone.
Your partnership with Sacred Word Publishing goes further than the publishing of ancient manuscripts and weekly video content.
You also make a huge impact across the earth in orphanages in Myanmar, India, Uganda, and Kenya.
Your support is crucial for the development of the ecclesia of real truth seekers.
We thank you for joining us in hosting Secrets Revealed, Momentary Zen, the Digital Readers Club, Ask Me Anything series, and other shows that have helped lead so many to the truth of salvation.
To become even more involved, please visit patreon.com/sacredwordpublishing, where you can partake in exclusive, interactive, patron-only content and help us continue shining the light of love in this darkened world. As a bookstore for truth seekers, it's our goal to make ancient manuscripts which were once held captive by secretive institutions available for public consideration. In our generation, where wisdom has increased as Daniel the prophet foretold, we have access to many of the testimonies our early church brethren were persecuted for preserving. After being hidden for centuries, these manuscripts have been leaked from various sources throughout the earth, and it's our goal to gather these sources into printable form to make available for all who seek the ancient way. If you're looking to deepen your studies of the biblical narrative, find these ancient manuscripts and more at sacredwordpublishing.com.
If you think for 1 second that the Capitol will ever treat us fairly, you are lying to yourselves. Because we know who they are and what they do. This is what they do, and we must fight back. You can torture us and bomb us. Fire is catching. And if we burn, you burn with us.
Good evening.
Are you awake yet? I hope. We've tried and we've tried for years and years to use passive resistance and loud voices to make a change. The time is over. Your governments around the world have no other goal than to decimate your entire existence at the hands of the bankers and the elites. The war is coming, and it's your choice to decide if you want to be a warrior or a victim. Denial is not a choice anymore. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the planet. Not giving up. Revolution Radio. All right. Thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
All right, welcome back, everybody, for second hour. And yeah, there's a lot of great conversation in the chat room. Somebody had even asked about, should we bless evil people? And absolutely, I think the evil people are the people that need to be blessed most, because hopefully they can turn it around, and joining in the kingdom, they could realize the faults and their failures, and realize that cursing and working against other people is not the way to go. That we're here to love each other, one another, and even that of our enemies. That we should, in loving our enemies and those that hate us, show them in our example what it means to be a disciple of the kingdom and in service to the Most High, in the example that Christ did for all of us. Remember the apostles when they asked him who amongst them was greatest, and he bent the knee and began to wash their feet and to show to them how we are to service and support and be at the aid of each other and one another. How beautiful an example is that, so yeah. Erin?
What a great point to say that we should be in service to others, because what Brick in the chat is saying is that he teaches masonry to people in Detroit, and that's on Saturdays, and explains to them how to be your own boss like we're doing. We're doing this in a different way. He probably does it in person, I would presume. But correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but that is it's a service to others. Like I said, maybe we're going to offer some of these things for free, not looking for an income, but the Lord will provide when we go out and be a service to somebody. And I had been feeling down and worried about the future. And it wasn't just because I didn't lose 80 grand. So don't get me wrong. I didn't put 80 grand into something and lose it, but I was up to 80 grand when I lost it. So it was I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? I'm depressed. I'm sad. I don't know how I'm going to, feeling like I got to get that back. And instead of having to remind myself that wasn't really the life I was meant to live, I'm meant to go out and provide a service to people, not sit on my butt and click a button and do trades without having to do the work. And so I was laying in bed one night and I thought, why haven't I tried to do this landscaping stuff on my own? And I quickly jumped up and bought some stuff for my camera to record it and be able to put videos up on YouTube. And I thought, this is going to be a way to bring the Lord to people who may know him or don't know, but this is going to be a way to be of service to others. And that's why I wasn't going to run out and be like, well, I want to make top dollar. I want to charge what other people are charging, but just going out in my humble way and saying, I contacted everybody I knew. And I said, hey, I'm going to be doing this. If you know anyone who wants anything done, trees trimmed, lawn mowed, anything, give them my name and number. And the next thing you know, these people, oh, I do know someone. My best friend's boyfriend's mom, I think that's very confusing, but my best friend's boyfriend's mom wants her rock bed done. Next, as I'm talking to her, her neighbor says, well, can you come do this? Yep, I can come do that. As we're working today, the neighbor says, well, can you come do this for us? Yep, we'll come do that for you. And so you're out there doing a service and people see that. And we got multiple compliments as we were doing a rock bed at this one business because there was multiple businesses there. And we're out there working hard, working for several hours in the day, pulling all the rocks out. And people see it and they come out and they want to say, wow, that's a lot of work. It's hard to find people to do that. Isn't that something? It's hard to find people to do that. And you mentioned the Great Depression. People still made it through. There were hard times, but people made it through, whether they got creative or they just learned to live on less. But they made it through, and they were stronger. A lot of people were stronger for it, and people learned how to prep. And people joke about it now, like, oh, my grandma went through the Depression, so she keeps like 500 jars of beans or 500 cans of beans and 500 jars of pickles or whatever. But she will never. She'll be the one that has the food if
exactly
like that happens again.
Right.
So that's what we're learning again today is what can we do to make sure that we don't just survive. We've talked about this. We're not just trying to survive. We want to thrive.
Yes.
In a harsh situation, difficult situation. We're not just learning this stuff so that we can barely make it. We're learning this stuff so that we can get to a point where we're doing okay. There was this show I kind of recommended. I thought it was pretty good. And it's called Alone. And it's where people go out
that's so funny. I just watched that same show. It's so crazy. I'll comment after you, but yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll mention what I want to say, and then I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah.
What a great show there was a guy in the first season, and I'm not giving anything away. This is not a spoiler. There's a guy in the first season that got to a point where he said, I can survive out here. I can do it. I'm at a point where I figured out my food source. I figured out my water. I figured out my, and he doesn't know. I mean, any kind of natural event could happen, but he's basically saying, barring a natural massive event, I could stay out here as long as I wanted to. And the reason he didn't want to anymore is because he missed companionship, right? Because we're not meant to go out and do this alone. We're meant to do this together, which is why we've talked about the cities of refuge, the places of refuge that we want to have as an option by coming together like this. And if we come together like this, get in contact with each other, we may be able to come together like this in real life. But yeah, since you just watched the show, tell me what you think about it.
Yeah, I just watched. I guess they released it on Netflix, and there was one series on there, and I had seen it before. But what I think is beautiful and amazing about the show is that the people that go out there, largely in their lives, they have learned to be that way by being recluses, hermits, almost like They want to be alone by themselves in nature. They have a survivalist attitude, almost like a prepper mindset to go out and to live with the land, to be in harmony with it, to respect the creatures, even the food that they have to take from the environment. They are so appreciative of it. And the starvation that they endure, it makes them realize, how important and how valuable being able to feed yourself, and also to to learn all the techniques to take care of yourself are. I mean, because when it comes down to people being able to survive and thrive from nature itself, and most people don't even know how to start a fire, and here these guys are able to use these bow drills and start a fire from nothing but from friction, wood being creating friction upon another, and then an ember being a coal created to start a fire. I mean, it's really amazing. The technique is amazing. But what is beautiful about these people that go out there is that they realize over time and space and the efforts they're putting forth to win this money, that family is the most important thing. The same thing that I was speaking about earlier in this show, about the importance of recognizing family and the importance of it in your life. And for those that are, that have um, grudges against their family members for whatever it is that might have separated them years ago, um, and they may not even remember what the fight was over, or what um, the hatred that came about at that time, what it even originated from, and yet they are in a place where they hold on to it, and they allow it to keep themselves estranged from other loved ones. And as I said, we're not promised any more tomorrows. It could tomorrow, somebody has an accident or a disease or an illness or whatever. You may not even have a chance to say goodbye. I mean, is the way that you are in this moment, and being angry with your loved one over something you can't even remember what it is that the last thing you want them to remember about the way that you were to them in this lifetime? I mean, we have to really realize what's important. And that's one of the things that all these people that go out on alone, they realize it. Like I saw I think it was last season's winner. He was talking about how he was separated from even his parents and his sister, and hadn't seen them for years because of the lifestyle he chose to live, which was that of a recluse. He was one of those that liked to be alone, and he didn't keep up with family a lot, but he realized in being out there and doing this, how critical, how important it was for him to go and to reestablish those relationships, and to put time and effort into just being with his family, sharing meals, conversation, dialogue, just sharing a hug, telling somebody that you love them. I mean, that's what's real. And this guy recognized it. And even on this season, which I think it was the newest one, um, a lot of the people, they were doing it for their families and to get ahead, and so that they could have the money to, like you're doing now, Erin, to create businesses of their own, to place focus and to fund the dreams that they have for doing what it is they want to do, in living their own lives, and not at the behest or the expense or the design of others, but that of their own dreams and their goals. And it is a difficult world. This is a very difficult world to get ahead and to start up something as far as, creating and to manifest your own dream. But you have to start somewhere. And in my opinion, if you just take the time and you're invest in yourself, be consistent with whatever it is that you want to do, you can achieve it. And as I said, I mean, don't hold disability or pain or limitations as an excuse. I'm a quadriplegic myself. I can't even get myself out of bed. And so I know what it's like to be physically limited. But because of the blessings of others and their assistance, I'm able to live a quality of life that allows me to complete and to focus on and to manifest those things that I am in doing in serving the kingdom. And so, all of you out there, you can achieve and you have the ability and the capacity to achieve miracle, to create miracle outcome. We are co-creators with the Most High. We have the kingdom within us. Christ is within us. The abilities that the Most High has, and not producing as far as raising life from death or anything like that, but certainly He's even given women, the ability to procreate and to bring forth life. I mean, what an incredible miracle that is. I mean, so we have capacity that is just wonderful if we just learn to put our focus and our efforts and our time and our focus forward with having a goal, visualizing the step by step how we want to manifest a dream. That's the way to achieve. Learn how successful people are able to bring forth their ideas and manifestation, and then replicate, because it all works the same for all of us. And you can achieve it too. Don't limit yourself. Don't have your thoughts in your mind and your pessimism be the thing that sabotages your efforts. Be positive in your what you see as outcome, because you just don't know until you try. And again, those people that have a negative mindset, a lot of times those are the kind of people that only create chaos and insanity. And they don't realize that they are doing this in an unconscious manner, because we are all really responsible for our intent, our thoughts, our ways of being. And if we just shift that from being negative to positive, we can create blessing. And that's also why I think that within the scriptures, the 10 Commandments, those are Dharma laws. Those are ways that the Most High has it set down in His law, that if you interact with the world in this manner, don't steal, don't kill, don't covet, honor your mother and your father, don't lie, cheat, and steal, all these things, then you're going to be in a positive relationship with the world. And you're going to bring forth and share blessings with others rather than curses. And in doing so, you're going to reap a better outcome than most of the people that are, following the designs of the Matrix and Satan in competing with others and trying to trample on others in order to get ahead. Because that is certainly what the competitive world, the business world, instructions and teaches us on what to do. And thank you, Tammy, and welcome, Donald. And I look forward to our interview soon, brother. And we appreciate all of you in the chat room. Erin.
I wanted to go back to the show Alone for just a second. We were talking about Alone because there's people that have to go and survive by themselves, and they have to record themselves and do all this stuff. And coming from the medical field, as I mentioned earlier, for those that have been here the whole time, I worked in the medical field. I believed in it, and I thought we needed things like antibiotics and stuff like that, and there was not another way. I believed that. I thought, wow, what a time to be in. We're so lucky we have things like antibiotics, and what would we have done when we got strep throat and rheumatic fever or infections in our and lacerations, and we couldn't do surgeries. And so the interesting thing is, I recently, and I will bring up why this has to do with the show alone, but I recently befriended a nurse who is very much on our side of thinking, but she's still caught up in the allopathic Rockefeller medical nursing education system. And she was saying, I have a hard time because I got sick with a throat abscess, she said, and I've had throat abscesses too, interestingly enough. They're nasty and they're painful, and they can be deadly if untreated. Well, treatment as we know it is antibiotics, oral antibiotics from a physician, big pharma. She said, it was so bad I had to go have it opened by a surgeon and drained, and so I'm torn because I know we need some of these things. I need those antibiotics. And I wanted to tell her, well, on this show alone, when I did tell her, on this show alone, this woman had, now I used to drain abscesses for people, whether they were anywhere, on their leg, arm, face, anything. And they're horrible. They're very painful. They're full of bacteria and pus, and some of the bad ones aren't even full of pus. They're full of pockets of just nothing, it seems like, and they're hard to break up. They're hard to open up, and they just keep coming back, and they're incredibly terrible. And some of that has come from antibiotics, interestingly enough.
Wow, that is very interesting.
The worse these things get, because our bodies become resistant to the antibiotics. And it seems to cause these bugs to become resistant to them, so they're super bugs. It's not evolution. It's not an evolutionary change. They just become resistant to the antibiotics, and they grow worse and more harmful, and you can't get rid of them with the antibiotics. And what a ironic, sad, ironic situation that is. Well, this woman in the show alone, she had a huge abscess on her leg. And I thought to myself, still in the medical mind, I said, she's not going to get rid of that. She has to go to a hospital. She has to get that drained. She has to get on antibiotics. And she didn't. She put together what she knew as a natural antibiotic and kept putting it on the wound. And lo and behold, it went away. And it blew I'm laughing about it now because it blew my mind. I was like, you can't do that without modern medicine. And yet you can. And what modern medicine has done is created these things to be far, far worse than they've ever been. And instead of actually helping, they're making it worse. So I have personally had these throat abscesses that this gal has spoken of. I've been lucky enough that I don't have to have anyone drain them. They drain themselves. I'm not trying to gross anyone out, but it's very gross, and it drains in your throat. But because once they drain, I don't take antibiotics for them because it's open, it's draining. I don't need them. And yet they tell you you got to take this very high level antibiotic, 800 milligrams, 3 times a day. And that is what happened a few years ago. Is I had an infection on my leg from a surgical removal of a questionable mole, and it got infected, and they put me on what's called Bactrim, a high level for 3 times a day. And I started developing hives. And then my tongue and my lips started swelling. And this didn't happen in just a few minutes. It happened over a couple of days. And it turns out that I'm clearly allergic to sulfa drugs, Bactrim. And if I ever take it again, I could die. This is what modern antibiotics do for us. Another thing called Stevens-Johnson syndrome. It is massively, massively bad. It's a reaction to, you guessed it, antibiotics. Antibiotics are the only thing that cause Stevens-Johnson syndrome. And what it is it causes what looks like burns on your skin, and your skin starts to fall off. It's so bad. So how is modern medicine what we need when it's literally killing us? And while Stevens-Johnson's is rare and anaphylactic reactions aren't that common, they are most commonly caused by antibiotics. And I refer back to that show because what a way to watch. We do not need to be like those people. You and I and everybody else in the chat, we do not need to be as self-sufficient as these people can get. I don't believe it. that we have to go that far. But isn't it amazing to watch what those people can do and think we could do some of that? We could learn some of these things.
Yeah, and there's another movement towards self-sufficiency. That was something that you had wanted to make mention of as well. Uh, and I think it's wise for people to develop a skill set which allows them, and I think everybody should incorporate every year with the harvest season, at least to grow, some herbs or lettuce or things of that nature. Just some food items which you can then utilize and eat, and to watch how these things grow. Um, and to learn to grow food from the land, to cultivate, to use seeds to bring forth, and also things like planting fruit crops, trees, apple trees, and different fruit trees. That this is something that is easy to do, and find out what grows well in your zone and in your area, and then plant those around your house. And kids love these kind of things as well, to be able to. I mean, when we were young, we would adventure out into the woods, and the things that we would predominantly do was look for like blackberry bushes and plum trees and things of that nature, and then reap the benefit and the reward of finding those and eating them and being able to eat from these different fruit trees. That was great fun, and that's such a beautiful thing, for kids. And this is something that I think everybody should have fruit trees all around them, in their yard, just like, I think solar panels is something that everybody should have as well. But we should all try to, in little manner, with whatever ways that we can, just plant a few tomato plants every year for every season, or some squash, cucumber, whatever it is that you love. Watch it grow, because it's beautiful the way that the Most High has the flowers of these plants turn into the particular fruit or crop, and that you can grow something that will actually benefit you. And that is also beautiful to watch in growth and development over the course of the harvest season. Um, but that, again, you can take these herbs and crops or whatever. You don't have to have a farm, but even if you had a small garden and you benefited from that every year, that's great knowledge. And it is a science, really, to learn to grow well and to grow different crops from the earth, to provide them the right type of soil, the right pH balance, fertilizer, things of that nature. And also, flowers and roses and things like that. Tiger lilies, I love growing all that as well. Watching the beauty of, all these different kind of things. But um, and so that's an awesome thing, and I think your kids would love this as well, in learning about how to grow and watch things grow in nature, and that too many kids are addicted to their computers and their phones, and to technology, and they don't even want to go outside anymore. It's so sad. They need the sunshine and the air, and to be out there in the world. Um, and it's unfortunate that so many are lacking this, and I think it's really affecting them negatively, that too many kids, being restless or whatever, and having all their energy pent up, not having any outward release, not exercising, that these kids are, um, you know, they're they're just they're just not getting the proper physical release and or even the proper sunshine, that or fresh air and those kind of things I think are affecting them negatively. It's unfortunate, but Erin.
I love talking about the garden stuff because I never grew my own garden until 3 years ago. And what did I do? I went on YouTube and I was watching how people grow stuff, and I saw some lady talk about her straw bale garden was her favorite. And I said, straw bale garden? Well, I'm gonna try a straw bale garden. And by the way, if you're gonna say, speaking of excuses, well, I don't have much of a yard, or I don't have a place to put a garden. I have literally, I don't know, I shouldn't say literally because I'm about to say about. I have about 10 feet by 10 feet by 20 feet of a yard. That's all I've got. It's tiny. You couldn't put anything in it. We couldn't. In fact, in the back, all I had was dirt. In the front, I had this tiny little patch of grass. I built out of pallets a deck in the back. And that was like some of the beginning of my learning experience of how to build things. And then in the front, I said, okay, now I want a garden. So I got straw bales. And then the first year I got 6 straw bales. And from what I learned is you were supposed to water them for 2 weeks before you're ready to plant. And then you put your plant, you just dig a hole in them because you're conditioning. You put some fertilizer in there and then you water the fertilizer down. It's called conditioning. It gets them softer and they start to compost in there. And you dig a hole in your straw bale. And farmers anywhere, they got straw bales. They'll sell them for $3 a bale usually, or something around there. And you dig a hole in the straw bale and you plant your plant. Now, if you've been growing it from inside, you've already got it in a cup of dirt, and you put your cup of dirt in the hole, and that's it. That's all you do. And my first garden was gangbusters. I bought my plants. I didn't grow them from seeds the first year. But then I said, okay, this worked well. I'm going to grow them from seeds. In year 2, I'm going to do straw bales again. So I got 18 straw bales, and I made room for it and put them together. And I had so many tomato plants. I had so many tomatoes. I couldn't even give them away. I had so many tomatoes.
Yeah, right.
It was amazing. Now, I had a slug problem last year, though, so all my small plants were eaten alive. My cabbage did nothing. My watermelon did nothing. My peppers did nothing. But for some reason, they didn't climb the tall tomato plants. So I thought, well, maybe the straw bales are the problem. Perhaps the slugs came in the straw bales. So this year, I did my first dirt garden. And I went and got a bunch of free dirt from this place it's a sugar beet factory. And they dump a bunch of their dirt in and they give it away for free. And I didn't know I needed to do anything with it, like mix it with manure. But somebody said, oh, if you're going to get dirt from the sugar beet factory, you should go get some manure from this farm out here. It's free, and you should mix it in with your dirt. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to do this right, but I'm going to try it. Got the dirt in, built, and everything I did cost me nothing but my physical effort and time. I got 2x4s from a friend who had a whole bunch of warped 2x4s, cut them into stakes, pounded them into the ground. And we're 2x4s. I cut into stakes and pounded them into the ground. And then I got some sheet metal that he had from an old roof, and I built the sides, went and dug up all the dirt, put it in, mixed it with, went and got the manure, put it in, mixed it in, and it is growing so well. I don't have very many slugs. I think I have a few because they're eating a little bit of the small plants, but they're growing so well, different from last year. What a blessing, Zen. I go out every day and I look at my garden. I think, wow, one thing I can say is every year I've tried a garden, it has really, really grown. And it has been a beautiful thing on just a tiny little patch of grass that I have in my yard. And I'm just excited about it. It's just so neat to watch it.
Yeah, it is. And again, I think especially for children, that in leading them with that kind of example, you get them curious and interested, and they want to know. They want to follow up and do
Right.
and grow themselves, and so without a doubt, I think it's important that people everywhere, that we start to incorporate this into our lives, and that we utilize every growing season to learn, and to grow whatever we can, even if it's just a few things, just in watching those few things grow and develop, it's going to be a great blessing to you. And, also with the things that are grown in the grocery stores, a lot of times um, those foods are genetically modified, or they're, raised or brought up in a manner that they could be even toxic for you. And so uh, that's why, it would be of great benefit for people to learn to grow their own food. And another thing is chickens. My children have chickens, and that's something that a lot of people are starting to incorporate as well. And that the eggs from free range chickens, and once you are starting to get, a number and being able to just eat those daily, eggs are so good for you. I know a lot of people say that they're not, and there was some documentary that said that they were, as bad as smoking cigarettes or whatever. But I think that eggs are really good for you, and they are high quality protein, especially if they come from chickens that are free range and that are eaten a wide variety in diets, bugs, and whatever, vegetables, plants, fruits, whatever. And so I think a lot of people are starting to try to move towards that self-sufficiency in some manner, and that it's important. And other people, raising goats or even cattle or, whatever, um, that, again, all of us, if you do have land around you and you're able to plant, even thinking about planting like nut trees, which take, 20 or 30 years to actually mature, and to where you can start getting, crops from them. But things like that, I mean, think long term and let your children be blessed by them. Put fruit trees, and nut trees and whatever else, and plant it all around you, so that you can have these crops. We have muscadines, and blackberries are also very easy, and blueberries and things of that nature. And so, and it's exciting to watch them grow. I love going out and being with, all the different crops and giving them water and watching them grow and flower and change over time and season. That's a beautiful thing to be part of the environment and to take advantage of what the Most High has blessed us with in regard to the land. I mean, just imagine you can put seeds into the dirt and have it grow food for you. I mean, that's an amazing thing, and it's something that is free. You don't have to, pay anybody to do it for you. You can do it yourself. You can grow whatever it is you want to eat or watch. It doesn't even have to be for food. It can be just for beauty. We have a lot of roses. Those were some of my mom's favorites. And when she passed away, I put a memorial garden in the front of my house in honor of her. And I am blessed by those roses and tiger lilies, and azaleas and gardenias were some of her favorites. And every year, when the gardenias bloom, I just love to pick them and put them in jars of water all throughout my house and just smell them. What an awesome blessing gardenias are. Erin?
Yeah, I wanted to say how today my husband went to the store to get peppers and onions for the dinner, and it was a mixture, and I don't really like onions, so he was going to pull the peppers out for me, and it was like no peppers. So I said, well, I said earlier, we got a pepper in the garden, go see if it's big enough. And he goes, oh man, I got the peppers and onions, there's no peppers in there. And he goes, why don't you go get the pepper from the garden? And I did, and it smelled so good, so different than that it was, from the store. And that's that's also when I realized I wanted to grow tomatoes every single
Yes.
because my tomatoes were so juicy and flavorful.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, the tomatoes from the store are bland and they taste like water.
Right.
And so now I only grow what I know I'm going to eat. And when I grew spaghetti squash, and it was so delicious. I mean, I was cooking it in the oven. You can cook it with like cinnamon and sugar, or you can cook it and make it like a spaghetti instead of using.
Right. Yeah.
And I just was so, like you said, it's so exciting, and I was so impressed with these fruits and vegetables that the Lord has given us.
Yes.
And He gave us dominion over the earth and the animals and the plants, and we're to be able to take part in these things. And I absolutely agree with you about chickens and eggs. Of course, they're not the unhealthy thing that they wanted us to think they were. I think pulling us away from being self-sufficient. Move to cities. Let us provide you with a protein shake instead. I was watching a video the other day, and what the guy said on YouTube, it was so accurate. He said, pretty soon, these things that just say preservatives or whatever are going to be bug proteins. They're going to say whatever kind of meat it is, but it's all going to be bug protein. It's going to be just filled with bugs, just like peanut butter already has cockroaches and things in it. Coffee already has that stuff in it.
That's horrible.
Buy coffee beans and just don't eat peanut butter, I guess, unless you can make it yourself. And then for people who try to argue for it, say, oh, well, those things just fall in and it just happens accidentally. I'm like, why? Why specifically peanut butter? Why specifically coffee grounds? No, they're putting it in there. It's becoming part of the diet they want us to have. And it pulls us away from what we're truly supposed to be able to do on our own, which is garden. And we've been foragers and hunters and gatherers far longer than we haven't. And that is what we're meant to be able to do. And it is what we should get back to, one little step at a time. Like I said, 3 years ago, I started a tiny garden. It grew well. I did a bigger garden. It grew well, but it had slugs. So every year we're just learning, trying different things. I got a different kind of garden this year. Is it enough to feed me all year round? Absolutely not. But it's enough to, when I don't have a good pepper for dinner, I can go out and get one. And then maybe we'll get to the point where it will feed us and sustain us. Or maybe we won't. But these are all little things we can learn that bring us closer to the Most High, to our Creator. Because as you said, we're in creation with Him. He created us to be creative. We can do this stuff, whether we're originally creative or not. One thing I began praying for a few years ago was, Lord, please make me creative. I want to be creative. Yeah. Bring some kind of abilities to my life, whether it's some of the self-sufficiency stuff or the video editing that I can do for people. That's how I met my husband, was because I did video editing for musicians.
Awesome. Yes.
And the Lord,
what a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. The Lord brought that through me. I didn't say, Lord, would you help me find a husband by becoming a video editor and creative that way? I just said, please give me creativity.
Yes.
I didn't think I was. And yeah, what a neat thing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's like Solomon praying for wisdom. And then one other thing wanted to make mention, I'll turn it back over to you, is we've got rosemary and also basil. I've got this giant basil bush out in my backyard, and I go out and we pick leaves and eat from it directly. And the way that it smells, oh my gosh, it's so glorious. Literally, I will spend time outside all day just smelling and eating basil, and also the gardenias. When they are in bloom, I'll just keep a bloom right near me so I can just pick it up and smell it all the time, because it's just so intoxicating, so glorious. I love it. And then also the rosemary. Oh, love that one as well. And you can cook with these, the basil and the rosemary. And I've never done anything with gardenia, but as good as it smells, it would be interesting that if you could really cook with it. But yeah, I mean, things like that. Basil is awesome. But yeah, back to you, Erin.
I love it, the smell of basil. And I had 3 basil plants, and they went to seed really fast. So it seems to me that maybe it's something you can plant, use, and then plant again. So I might try that next year and then it was the same with my cilantro. It started flowering and going to seed super fast. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can save the seeds and plant it again, because it was such a short season. Whereas like the tomatoes take a long time, the peppers take a long time.
Right.
So somebody in the chat probably already knows all this stuff, but the cool thing is that's how I'm learning, is by watching, like, wow, that went fast. But the flowers too, every year I buy 3 flower pots. And I told you I built a deck in the back from pallets. I paid nothing for these. I had an old shed that I tore down back there. I used the walls of that shed to be the floor on top of my pallets so that I wasn't falling in holes, and paid $0 to make that little deck that I sit on. I got a set of misters for my misters that mist water from my parents that didn't use it anymore. I put up some poles and to be able to hang these flowers, and I put up sails to shade it. And I paid for the sails, but the poles and everything I got for free. And you guys, this is coming from a person that when I was married the first time, you guys know I'm a widow, I couldn't even hang a picture on the wall. You can laugh at me, you think I'm lying. It's true. I didn't have a hammer. I didn't have a nail. He did everything. I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to put up a TV set. I didn't know how to forget it. I knew nothing. And so I built up this whole deck in the back, and I buy 2 hanging flowers and 1 that goes on the ground. I mean, I wish I could show you guys. I should sometime just do like a walkthrough of my house, but just the before and afters of what I've done with this place, praise God. But it's a little old lady came by my house one day and she said, "This house hasn't seen love for 40 years. I just love what you're doing with it." Awesome. And man, it just warmed my heart, and it feels good. I get to sit out there and look at those beautiful hanging flowers. I didn't plant them from seeds. I'm planting my plants now that I grow vegetables with from seeds, but I just buy the flowers. I just get to look at them, put on my misters, sit in the backyard, and we love having coffee out there in the morning. It's just the best. And I would just say it is work. We've talked about being self-sufficient. We've talked about getting, figuring out how to work without doing the 9 to 5. All of this stuff is creativity given from the Most High. We just got to pray for it. It is kind of hard work. It is effort, and it will take time before you really get into it and understand it. But the reward is so much bigger and better than coming home from your 9 to 5 and doing one thing all day long just so that you can have a little fun on the weekends or whatever it is you can do. Whereas this is our own time. We clock in when we want to. We clock out when we want to. And we go on vacations when we want to. And we get time with our families and our kids, like you were saying earlier. It's so much about our family. And
yes.
I'll say I have no words just to really tell. The only words I can say is hallelujah, and life is amazing. What a beautiful thing.
Right. It is. Yes, praise God for all the bounty and the opportunity. And, just like for those of you, look how many people are looking to just buy food, and the people that have time. Because once you focus on creating a garden and create food, and you're able to develop even an excess, this farmer market, or even trading, bartering with people around you. Look at the people that raise chickens or cattle, and the shepherds of the patriarchs, all throughout time, that's what they lived and they did. They tended sheep and goats, and and how many things you can get from the animals that you are taking care of, if you were to do it in that manner. Whatever it is you decide to do, go where your passion lies. Do what it is you love to do, and then turn that passion into your livelihood. Turn it into in some manner, make it your source of income to take care of yourself and your family. And that, when you are doing that kind of work, it's not even like you have a job. It's just, you're just living, you're being blessed by existence and life and being, and you're doing what you can to, to make it and survive and to manage in this world. But do whatever it is you can to, to live out your joy and your passion and to find happiness in every day, because that's very important as well. You want to be able to find joy and happiness in your daily adventure through life. If you're not finding that, if you're not laughing and you're not having joy, you're not sharing humor with those around you, you're missing out. And, this is such a heavy world. These are such heavy times. What's going on with the New World Order and us being in the end times, um, it, it can get burdensome. It can be too much. It can be too heavy, even to have the knowledge as wisdom keepers, as the holders of the secret, those of you that know what's coming, those of us that have been, sounding the shofar as the watchmen, as the watchwomen, and the things that we talk about to try to wake people up to what's real and what's really going on. Still, we have to remember to live in joy, and to find and entertain ourselves. We still have to, of course, learn and be knowledgeable about those things that are coming and share that with people and be serious about, that service to the kingdom. But still, you can't get overly burdened, because you'll get depressed. It will be too much. You have to keep joy in your life and find it daily. Laugh when you can, share joy with your children. That's why children are so great, because they're so pure and they're so innocent in the things they find joy in. They can find joy in stomping mud puddles, and things like that. And sometimes as adults, we have to remember how to do those kind of things as well. Erin, we got just a few minutes remaining, so.
Yes, it's been really, really fun talking about this, because it reminds me to think about where I've come from, all I've done, what I've done to change my life, and how the Most High has definitely had the biggest hand in that. So all glory to the Most High. But I've been the conduit. I've been the person that He's used to make those changes. And in the beginning, like I said, it was just praying for self-sufficiency. Didn't know exactly what that meant, but the ability to be able to do things, and just to start doing it as cheaply as possible. And, a lot of people, there are videos on YouTube that show you how you can build things from pallets, and you can build a house from pallets. I'm not sure it would be, I don't know how far you could go with pallets, but you can build a house, you can build a garage. I built a deck. They're very, and people say, oh, pallets aren't good because they're all different types and sizes and shapes. But you could go to like a lot of window places that do windows. They have all the same size pallets, and they give them away. They don't want them. They don't want to break them down and have to do anything with them. So you can go pick those up. I made a fence out of pallets. Anyway, I digress. I just wanted to say that you can do these things on minimum amounts of dollars. And here I was getting upset because I thought I was going to be living the good life with all this easy money coming in from an arbitrage crypto trading system that went to nothing. And yet I can look back from this during this conversation and say, wow, I didn't have hardly anything, and I built and I grew and I learned because I had hardly anything. And that doesn't always mean that's where the Lord needs you. If someone out there is wealthy and they're still spreading the message and the good news of Jesus Christ and salvation, that's where you're supposed to be. I just don't really think I'm really supposed to ever be there. I feel like I grow better when I don't have much, when I have to learn how to figure out, and it reminds me that has been my goal, to be self-sufficient, to be able to not need dollars, because I can build a house and I can cut down a tree and create the wood, or I can rebuild an engine in a vehicle, or I can get this bus on the road one of these days that has been sitting for a while, not being worked on. But I will say again real quick, I know we're getting close, but this bus that I've been working on, this weekend we went on a trip and had such a nightmare with the hotels. I've been telling my parents, I can't wait until we have that bus, and we don't need to stay in hotels anymore. We don't have to
Right.
anything like that. We just get to stay where we want and park somewhere and camp out. We have our own bathroom and our own beds, and we don't have to pack because all our clothes are already with us. I just am so grateful that God has led me down this journey. And while the bus has been on a long standstill, and for reasons of me feeling sorry for myself for losing money and having all these plans that I'm not going to get to go through with, and also that it needs new batteries, I'm not going to ever quit on it. I'm going to get it done. So I'm grateful that we had this conversation, and I'm grateful for all the people that come here. I'm so glad that people find this information and conversation edifying and that they want to be here to listen. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I did drop it in the chat. I appear as Abby someone, but there's a link again. I appreciate it if you find this information. It's a newer channel. I have had to start over, so I appreciate anyone coming there if you can. But happy birthday to Tammy George tomorrow, right? So, happy birthday to her. And thanks for being a part of the conversation, everybody.
Yes, and also, Erin, don't give up on crypto. Dollar cost average. We're in a bear market now, but the bull market will return. It's just cyclical. I've seen it go up and down 3 times now. And don't limit your prosperity. You will once again be at that point. Just remember to take profits. When the good times are there and the crypto and the money is easy and it's rolling in, don't forget to take profits. That's a lesson that all of us have to learn. I've watched it go up and down, and I've done the same thing. But I've had to learn that when times are good, take advantage of them. And when they're bad, just dollar cost average in and await the bull run. Until next time, we appreciate you. Be blessed all.
Good night.
Good night. Shalom.
Thank you everybody for joining us for this video and this broadcast. We appreciate all of you and thank you for your patronage. Please do like and subscribe and share with your friends. God bless all of you in your seeking.